Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is March 7th of 2022. And over the weekend and into last week, over on my Instagram page, I was really doing a lot of stuff in my stories about the Great Reset, realizing that a lot of people, they're not aware of what that is when I talk about it. Part of it was kind of concerning to me, going, wait, you don't know about this, because it's the very thing that we are up against right now. And if you don't know what you're up against, how do you know how to war and to fight and to stand up and to be voiced? And that is one of the big things that I keep speaking about in all of my videos, is that it's this is the next revolution. It is the voice. And I want you to think about something from the very beginning. How are we even birthed into creation? Through the voice, the breath of God, the Yad-Hey, Vad-Hey. And I know a lot of people probably don't go that far into it, but it's one of the revelations that I just keep receiving, is that it's through the voice. And when you know that the kingdom of God is right here within you, it's right here, that you are a part of that, and that when you are given the wisdom to speak, that things are declared into the atmosphere, they are birthed into the earth, and we are to be a part of that. It's this thing of, I was talking to someone this weekend about when you are given a revelation, when you are given a piece of the pie, when you are given just like that small puzzle piece, and then you go out and you start talking to others about it, and you're like, oh yeah, and I have this piece, and then I have this piece, and I have this piece. What if we all are speaking our pieces and communicating at such a higher level through wisdom, not just all the knowledge, but taking that knowledge and using wisdom? What would change in this hour? What would happen? How can we overturn some of these things that are being done to harm us, to manipulate us, to control us? What would happen? Like, literally think about that. And it's why I always talk about how you have to get into your heart. This is the brain that we need to be operating out of to move forward, to be pathfinders and solutionizers in this hour, not complainers, not fearful, not scared, but to walk forward in love, in kindness, in peace, through the ideologies that are given to us, through a place of wisdom, because we're seeking the Lord for wisdom. We're seeking out, okay, I see this problem, help me with the solution, and what is it? That's the question we've all got to be asking. What is the solution? What is the solution? Show me how to do it. Show me my part in it, no matter where I am. If I live in a very small rural place, a big urban place, you're in a really large city, you're in a very small nation, whatever it is, what are you supposed to be doing? And so I just want to leave you with that. But I'm going to go into more of the Great Reset, because I talked a lot about that over the weekend. And I want to go in a little bit more in depth about how ridiculous some of this is. And because it's so ridiculous, it's almost as if people just don't, they just scroll on by like it's just some like crazy conspiracy theory. My page, I'm sorry, I can't say that. From now on, I'm going to say it's a crazy CT, okay? So a crazy CT, because it's so ridiculous. And at what point do we look at the ridiculousness, the silliness of some of this and go, why am I giving you so much power? No, we're not doing that. We're just not doing that. And literally using our voice to stand up and say, no. I see what you're doing. No. We got to start doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go over a few of the points from the WEF that has been put out on the Great Reset. The one that everyone, I think, talks about is, you will own nothing and you will be happy about that. So they've told you you're not going to own anything and you're going to be really happy about it. And some people really get into alignment with that. I can't wait to own nothing. And yes, I'm going to be so happy about it, because it's a psychological warfare. It's a psyop. It is something trying to tell you, control you, manipulate you into having a certain reaction and a certain belief around something that the authority is telling you. Because see, what we do is we like for people in authority to tell us things, even if it's not true. If there's someone who holds an authoritative place over society, or an authoritative, we see them as a leader. Oh, well, they told me that, so I got to believe it. It's true. No, that is a perversion of truth. It's to set up a fake authority to then start telling you things that are not true, but then people believe it as truth because they don't know who they are. We can't do that anymore. Okay, so own nothing and be happy about it. There is a place of where you stop false authority by owning your things, by having a stewardship over something. In one of my last videos, I also talked about this, about one of my revelations though for my dreams is that we have got to stop looking at ownership in the way we own things as more of a stewardship. So the earth, yes, was created and we are given dominion to come and take care of it. But there has been a perversion of this, you're going to own nothing. And then I also see some teachers in some religions going, well, no, you're supposed to own stuff because we were always supposed to own things, because if we own things, then it stopped the tyranny. Yes, that's absolutely true. But there's a difference in the terminology of owning things. People think that they own other people. People think that they own waterways, that they own mountains, that they own the creation in a certain way, that they begin to pervert what that ownership looks like. When the whole time, were we supposed to be stewarding it better? Were we supposed to be taking care of it? Now, can you have that piece of land or that property that you own, but can you look at that ownership in a place of stewardship? And so I just want to ask you that, to really start thinking and seeking deep. What does it mean by owning versus stewarding? And how can I be over that land and still steward that land at the same time and not get into this perversion of you're going to own nothing? Because I'm going to own everything and I'm going to be real happy about it. I mean, that's basically what they're saying. You don't get to own anything, but you're going to be happy. But I'm going to own it all and I'm going to be real happy. But think about those things. Okay, still ridiculousness. That's all I got to say about that. Okay. One of their other points is, and you can go look this up on their website. Okay, the U.S. will not be a superpower anymore. Why would they say that? Because as of right now, the U.S. has been a superpower. It is very giving. Take apart what we're seeing right now from leadership over the last few generations that maybe has put things into power that shouldn't be there. I'm talking about the people right now. I'm talking about the land. I'm taking out my thoughts right now on governmental systems, okay? And I'm just talking about the people. Because see, other nations chant really bad things to Americans. But we're often judged on what our leadership is doing around the world. And we really need to take a long, hard look and go, man, why do they say that about us? Is it really about me? No, but it's about the leadership and what that leadership has done by taking power and control and manipulating things that was never theirs to take power, control, or manipulate. So we also have to remember that. So when we're also looking at other nations right now and going, I'm only praying for that one. I'm not going to pray for that other one. What about the innocent people in all of the nations? Even when we talk about Syria and Iran, a lot of the Middle East and things that go over there, but what about the innocent people there who have been manipulated and controlled to think something that is absolutely not true? Because see, that's what happens is we get into mind control. That's called a psyop. It's psychological warfare to get all of the people mad at each other, hating each other, upset with one another, chanting death to each other. When it was never about these people, remember, what are they doing back here to get these people to do that? So taking that superpower away, because right now what you have in the globalist agenda, which is what this great reset is, it's one world government, one world currency. And who's stopping it right now? America is stopping it right now. There are some people that are leading America into the globalist agenda though. And you have to ask yourself, why? How did they get in that position? Were they programmed to be into that position? And what are we going to do about it now? We start calling it out when we see it. We talk about it and we say, no, not anymore, because I see what you're doing. So America right now has the US dollar that has been used for trade all over the world. And what you're seeing right now is you have China and Russia and even India wanting to remove the US dollar for trade. What would that do to the US dollar? Think about that for a second. And it's not that the US dollar doesn't have its own set of issues either. The US dollar, there needs to be some backing behind it. We need to have a currency that is backed by something so that you can't just go and centralize it to these certain banks and these certain people that then oversee and then, oh, well, we just need some more. Well, let's just go print some more. What happens when you print some more? We're seeing that right now, the rise of inflation. So even right now, your US dollar, from the time that you spent to work on it, to receive that as payment for the job that you've done, and then you go to the store to buy your groceries or to pay your house payment, it's not going as far as it was. So even right now, we're seeing why we need to have a backing to that. So it's not that we don't need a new system in place, but how are we going to put that system in place? Who's going to be behind the system that is put in place? And what leadership are we going to allow to oversee that? So we're talking about a great reset that is wanting to centralize the system through the digital currencies, this one world digital currency. But we also have a centralized system right now, even in our own US dollar fiat system through the central banks. So is there a way to take the central backed digital currency and decentralize it? Like, I don't even like that term, central backed digital currency, because for us to move forward in a new system, we need a way to decentralize it. Because if not, you're just putting yourself, like what the Great Reset calls, back into a system where they can just turn you off. We have seen that. They can just turn you off. You don't like what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're protesting, what you're voicing, what you're speaking out, what you're standing up for. Oh, I'm just going to turn you off. And so we have to get into a place of going, okay, well, so how do we decentralize that? Who are the people that are being called up right now to help with that? And there are people. When you start setting out these technologies and the way that some of these things can be used, you can see, oh, that's how I can become my own bank. That was one of the dreams I had that I've talked about before, and it was like an unanswered question, but I'm starting to see more and more as I study these technologies of how you can actually be your own bank. Systems of government, they don't want people to be their own bank because then you lose control over that. But in a sovereign being, a sovereign nation, a group of people who are walking out all the parts of sovereignty and what that means, they're not being centralized by someone else. They're not being dictated. They're not having authoritarians over them telling them what they can and can't do, what they can and can't spend, when they can and can't speak, or what they can and can't speak about. And so we have to really look at our leadership that is in place during those times. Okay. One of them was about eat less meat. And what I see in that is a perversion of truth. And what I call, one of my friends calls it a reverse perverse. So where you've like reversed the truth and then you perverse the truth and you've like flipped it and turned it, and then you can't really see the truth because it's so convoluted that you just really don't know what it is, like which way's up, which way's down. So I don't know, because we've perverted it so many times. Because you have to realize that people behind this, they also have a religion. And whether you agree with their religion or not, it doesn't really matter. They believe in their religion. They believe in the things that they do and why they are doing it. And what I call is it's deception. It's great deception, because a lot of these people who are behind this, they truly believe that what they're doing is for the best of humanity. Like when you listen to some of them, even outside of the power and the control, where they start playing God, and I just want to make a break right here. It's never worked out well for anyone who starts playing God. It never does, because you reap what you sow. And so that eventually comes back around. But in that, the part of the deception is they truly believe that. Many of them have been raised in that their whole lives. And so I think that's where I have that piece of like, inside of all of us, though, there is light if we choose to allow that light to come through. And so, each of these people have the choice to get out of their deception, or they can continue to sit in it. But we don't have to sit in their deception. We do not have to sit in their deception. And we call out the deception. We still speak love and peace over them, and that I hope that they come out of that deception. But if they don't, that is their path and their journey. But that doesn't mean that has to be my path and my journey. Okay, so back to the meat. So a part of the whole climate change, and people are going to remember this, and it was really funny, and everybody made a lot of jokes about it, but it was about cow farts, because they put out methane. Okay, go back and look at all the news, and you're going to remember everyone talking about this and thinking that was so ridiculous. No, it's actually a part of their plan. But all this goes back to, in a religious way, of we're supposed to eat healthy, we're supposed to eat from the land, fruits and vegetables and things like that. Okay, but at the same time, you're taking away someone's free will choice. Your religion might say that. Your part of understanding and creation might say that. But at the same time, to be a sovereign being, you get to make your own free will choice. You eating that meat is between you and God, okay? I'm not going to go down the path about being vegetarian and whether I should eat this or whether I shouldn't eat that, or what's clean, what's unclean. Okay, the part of it is that you've got people who actually believe, well, I'll start producing that food, but here's the perversion in it. I'm going to genetically modify that food. And when I genetically modify that food and you start consuming that food, I'm genetically modifying your DNA because of what's in that food. So again, they're very outspoken about the ways that they have to genetically modify and change human DNA. And so then you have to go into the question that, some of the videos when you're watching these people be interviewed and the interview asks, well, how do you get people to really get in alignment with that? Because you're talking about changing human DNA and what defines a human. And then listen to what they say. Listen to what they have put out. Go and find the videos where they have people talking about putting transmitters in your brain and being able, you're not going to have to wait for an organ because we're going to grow you an organ. Now, is there technology that could be used that God could give us wisdom? Absolutely. But when you look at the intention behind something, I always say this, that everything can be used for good or bad. What is the intention behind the person that is putting this stuff out? What is their intention and why are they doing that? Is it to help and beautify and to bring life and love? Or is it for harm and deception and power and money and greed and control? What is the intention behind those things? So I'm not going to get into a debate on, using certain technologies that we have in our medical advancements, but what is the intent behind the people of the Great Reset and what they're doing right now? They have made it very clear that one of the ways that they do is put people in these global young leadership academies. You graduate from that and then you go and control nations and they infiltrate the cabinets of those leaders. That is what they say. That is what's spoken. So now the quiet part is being spoken out loud, and a lot of people think it's a CT. It's not real. It's so ridiculous that they've actually told you what they're doing that must not be true. No, we're at a point now to where they're telling you what they're doing, and they want you to get in agreement and alignment with it because you have a power in this as well. Because the more that we believe that these people in operating have more power than we do, we have given consent to them. At what time will we stop going, man, evil has so much power, man, dark has so much power, and go, no, the light has power, God has power, and he has shown me some things, and I'm about to step into that power because you're not going to do that. Because I'm a sovereign being. I know who I am. I know my identity, and you're not going to do that. It's right here. It's not through guns. It's not through bombs. It's not through weapons. It's right here. It's in our voice. This is the way that we step forward right now. It's right here, operating through here. Okay, one of them too is about Western values will be tested to the breaking point. Now, Western values, you have to go and look. Actually, Charlie Kirk and I think it was Pastor Jack Hibbs, I see this going viral right now. They did a video on this and they actually break this down a little bit more. But I also want to talk about, when you're talking about religion and church, you've got a lot of people that even they do this with religion, right? That this has been a cause of holy wars, for millennia, okay? So when you start talking about Western values and you start bringing religion in and you start bringing the church in, we even have to go back because this is something that I keep being shown. And it's really hard because we have seen betrayal with this Great Reset, right? We have seen betrayal with our government systems, with our financial systems, with how they're trying to get into the family unit and break that family unit apart, the healthcare industry, the media. Okay, so we've seen that. But when people start looking and going down the religious path, they don't want to see that because now you're messing with somebody's belief system, okay? Because you can kind of separate yourself a little bit from these other things. But when you start looking about religion, and has any of it been humanistically influenced? There are so many different sects, S-E-T-S, of even the Christian faith. They're all about different methods of doing something. But at the core of it, if someone is calling themselves a Christian or a Christ follower, you see Jesus, you see Yeshua at it. But then you've got all these different theologies and doctrines, and you see this going on constantly. Now, if you have never studied the Council of Nicaea, go back to 325 AD, Constantine, and you will start to see some things that are really starting to come into the light within a lot of religions right now. Because, so you had this Christian faith, the Christians that were being persecuted, and then Constantine has this great revelation, and he looks up and he sees this cross in the sky, And he's like, okay, I'm going to start allowing you guys to come into our temples and you get to use them. Okay, but what happened at that? You started having the Christian faith being intermingled with some of the people call them pagan beliefs at the time. Have all of those separated themselves? Have they all separated themselves? You're really going to have to ask yourself that, because I truly believe we're about to start having a great revelation, a great revealing of maybe some things that are still like this that don't allow us to fully operate in the kingdom. Because even Yeshua himself says that when he's talking to, the priests at the time, and we talk about this all the time, calling them, this den of vipers, and, you're putting people to the wolves, and why don't you see what you're doing? And Jesus even says to them, hey, you're bringing these people in, but you're making them, no better than the tax collector and the prostitute. And what he was trying to say is, when you bring someone into a religion that is not fully immersed in God, and you've put humanism and humanistic beliefs on it, because religion is often man-made in tradition. And so you put these traditions that are man-made, and people begin to get like convoluted in their thinking and a little confused, because well, my pastor said that, or my preacher, or my priest, or my whatever religion that you might be in, but you're not fully connecting yourself to God. We're missing some of these things that Yeshua even talked about himself. And one of my favorite ones is in John, when he says, I came so that you would be, so Father, I'm one with you. And then I came so that they would see that we are all one together. And so you have a lot of people right now talking about how we're all connected in this, and that you'll have people say, well, we're not, they're using the term oneness. And then you've got a lot of people in the church saying, well, no, that's actually not true. That's like a new age belief. But then when you go and actually read John, and you're looking at what Christ was actually saying, like, I want them to know that they are one with me. When they believe in me and they connect to me, then we are connected together. You've got this avenue that's being opened that people are talking about right now, where you can truly feel compassion and empathy and love for your fellow neighbor when you realize that we are all part of the same two-legged tribe that can connect to God. But you have a choice to make on whether you're going to do that or not, and what part of religion is allowing you to either be closer in relationship or it's pulling you further apart. There are a lot of religions that have a middle person, that you're not allowed to go straight to God. We weren't made that way. You came from him, and you get to go back to him. You have the kingdom of God within you. And so it's like, when we start looking at this great reset and some of the perversions that are being placed into it, but also maybe a little bit of truth is in there, because if you have a little bit of truth but a little bit of lie, you really get people confused and not understanding which way is up. And so when I look at this reset plan, that's what I see, is a perversion of truth to confuse people. But then it also offers people who don't understand or have an understanding of those things, it offers them the authority. Well, they said it in their authority and their leaders, and they've been put in place. You know that none of these people, I didn't vote for any of these people. Did you vote for any of these people? I didn't. I didn't vote for the World Economic Forum to lead me into a one world government and a one world currency system. Like, did you? Because I did not. We really have to start thinking about that. Why are we listening to people that we, as a group, didn't even know who their names were probably 2 or 3 years ago? But now all of a sudden, here they are front and center, because they've been planning a lot of things back here for a really long time. And now they're saying the quiet part out loud. And a lot of people are falling for it. We can't be, no. We got to be wise. We have to be discerning. We have to look and be able to see and judge the fruits of those things. I'll end it with this, is just looking at this great reset versus how can we take some of these things that are being put out right now and use them for a kingdom reset, to use them to help us go into more sovereign beings, a sovereign nation, sovereign citizens, and operating in a way that we are supposed to be operating. The first part of that is we have to get right with ourselves. We have to do the inner healing. We have to be able to get rid of this junk, or we can't see. The other thing is being able to put leaders in place that have a heart for people, not control, power, greed, and manipulation. And that people in their local levels, wherever you are, start standing up and saying, I'm getting involved. I see what's going on here, and I say no. The other thing is we have to stop allowing our children to be indoctrinated by these things and these powers and these programs that change society, because that's what's been happening. As they were all scheming and planning back here, it wasn't just overnight. They've been doing this for a really long time, and it's no secret now. They're all talking about it. But then do we keep those systems going the way that they were, or do we get in and go, okay, wait, that system's broken. I'm bringing my wisdom and I'm bringing my knowledge. We're going to revamp that system for the better, for all, for everyone. And then it's looking at the technologies that are being put in place. Are we going to allow them to be used for harm and enslavement and oppression and bondage? Or are we going to use these new technologies for freedom, for liberties, to sustain the things that we have, to be good stewards of the land? Are we going to look at some of these climate change issues and go, okay, I can see what you're talking about. What's the solution to that? It's not in cow farts, I can tell you that. There's way more than that. It's looking at the things and going, that is so ridiculous and silly. That can't be true. And going, but wait a second, you really trying to do that? Boy, come on now. It is. It's like, what are we going to get into agreement and alignment with? What are we going to choose to see? Or are we going to continue to be blinded? And then when you truly see, you can't unsee. And then some of it gets, when you get healthy and wealthy in here in your heart, nothing that they're putting out affects you anymore. You see it for what it is. You see the solution that they have, but then they went and created a problem to get you to that solution, and you look at that and you start laughing. You don't laugh at the loss of people's lives or the loss of nations or things that are going on right now, but at the ridiculousness, the silliness of what these people are doing. And then you can see clearly out front, I'm not getting into alignment with that. And I stand up and I use my voice through the next revolution and say no, through the breath that the Lord has given me in creation. And I say no, and I speak forth what he puts in through me, because I'm a vessel for him to be used. And if it's not you, then who? If you have words of wisdom and if you have things and solutions and technologies that are flowing in through you, but you think that you're not equipped in it, and then you just sit back and do nothing with it, man, don't be that. Don't do that. Use your gift. Use your calling. Go for the assignments that are yours today. Look for them. What are they? Start praying about them. What are they? Because this great reset, they're trying to implement this super fast because people are onto it. But at the same time, we are countering it with the kingdom reset because we're onto it and we're seeking wisdom. Okay, so I know I threw a lot of stuff out today, but think about those things. Think about how it is that we can move forward into the greatest time of our lives versus this great reset who's going to put you in more oppression and bondage than you have ever even thought was possible. Because they're telling you what they're going to do. They're telling you how they're going to change humanity and that you're going to own nothing and be happy about it. No. I say no. I hope that you will say no, and I hope you will stand up and start using your voice to say no as well and bring the solutions to the table. All right, you guys have a good one.